Introduction. It is wonderful that Jesus came in person to make the gospel known to the Apostle John. And we can understand the meaning of the book of Revelation by the wisdom God is happy to supply. Let's be sure to always emphasize the gospel as we study Revelation. God is love. We know that because the Bible is full of stories and promises to show that He is love. Hopefully, we are also aware of that love in our lives, and we need to remember His love all the time we are studying His book, Revelation. The most famous Bible verse about God's love is John 3:16. Probably you have memorized it. For God so loved the world that He gave His one and only Son, that whoever believes in Him shall not perish but have eternal life. This verse was written by the Apostle John, Jesus' youngest disciples. Maybe you remember that he was very special to Jesus. He referred to himself as the one who Jesus loved. After Jesus went back to heaven, the Apostle John lived longer than any other of Jesus' disciples. When he was very old, he was the spiritual leader of several Christian churches that were in the country we now call Turkey. It was a part of the Roman Empire, and the government did not appreciate Christians because they would not pray to the emperor, who was considered to be a god. Since John was the leader, they decided to kill him by putting him in a big kettle of boiling oil. They thought that would teach a good lesson to other Christians who did not agree to their kind of worship. God intervened so the hot oil did not hurt John at all. That must have been a very big surprise. Now what could they do? They still wanted to punish him, so they sent him to a little island named Patmos that was about 50 miles out in the water away from Ephesus, the city where he lived. On Patmos, John was supposed to work in a mine. Since he was about 90 years old, that must have been very hard for him. We know he had some freedom because we will find him enjoying nature on a Sabbath day. Or maybe he was hiding in a cave that people can still visit on that island. On a clear night, he might have been able to see lights from Ephesus. The church members he knew and loved were there. I'm sure he thought about them and prayed for them every day. Where was God while his faithful disciple John was struggling on that little island? In this book, you will find the answer to that question. In fact, you will see that God was taking very good care of him. Maybe God arranged for John to be there so he would have time away from his home and church work to write an important message to you and me that he would have been too busy to write over in Ephesus, living his normal life. Most of the best scholarship believes that John wrote the revelation of Jesus Christ about AD 95. The very next year, the Roman emperor was killed. So John only had a short time to write before he was liberated from Patmos and returned home to Ephesus. Later, he wrote the Gospel according to John, which is thought to be the last book of the Bible to be written. At some point late in his life, he also wrote 1st, 2nd, and 3rd John. Thanks to John's time on Patmos, we have the book Revelation. Have you tried to read it? Some people say it is very hard to understand. Some people say it is so hard it will drive you crazy to try to understand it. I hope you will find that is not true, that you can read and understand it and love Jesus more because of what He reveals in it and what it reveals about Him. In order to understand Revelation, you only have to do 3 things. Number 1, reread it prayerfully. Number 2, pay attention to the Old Testament references. And number 3, recognize that God is not the only power at work. As you go through this book, you will see the good sense of these 3 requirements. Each of them will help you understand the meaning of Revelation. I think you will find that it is the most exciting book in the whole Bible. When you understand it, it will change your life. 2,000 years ago, back in John's time, Greek was the language used. So that is the language John wrote in, even though he also knew the Hebrew language very well. If you want to read Revelation in the language in which John originally wrote it, you will need to learn Greek. I would encourage you to do this. When a book is translated into another language, like English, there are ideas that you could miss. For this reason, some Greek words will be explained to you as you go through this book. It is my prayer that you will be exceedingly blessed as you study Jesus Wins, Rereading Revelation for Young People.